Hey everybody, welcome to Connect in Cannabis. I'm your host, Brian Holler. This, of course, is brought to you by Wrazel. Today's guest is going to be Rocco Petrilli. He's chairman of NCRMA. That's the National Cannabis Risk Management Association. But first, of course, I'd like to talk to you about the Wicked Root. The Wicked Root's mission is to unlock the healing power of cannabis and to create trusted, safe, and highly effective wellness products. They firmly believe that cannabinoids and terpenes found in cannabis and hemp have the potential to positively impact millions of lives, and their team is dedicated to making this a reality. Utilizing proprietary DNA, the Wicked Root offers a brand of pharmaceutical-grade CBD products people can rely on. The Wicked Root team utilizes a full-spectrum CBD base infused with select terpenes to create optimal science-backed formulas that are consistent and deliver targeted effects. To learn more about the Wicked Root, visit thewickedroot.com. And for more on their current investment opportunity, find Wicked Root on the Wrazel investment marketplace at wrazel.com. All right, so let me bring in our guest today, Rocco Petrilli. Rocco, how are you doing, sir?
Brian, how are you? Great to be on.
Doing well.
Finally pull this together.
Absolutely, my pleasure. My pleasure as always. So let's hop right on into it. So National Cannabis Risk Management Association. What inspired you to create it?
Well, I like to tell the story, Brian. I came out of the dugout in about the second inning. The idea of the NCRMA came from a couple of Pennsylvania entrepreneurs who were, very, very deeply ingrained in the insurance business, understood risk management, sure, and had a passion for cannabis. And, came up with the NCRMA as an approach to insurance that, if it took the lead, could really help influence and more appropriately normalize the insurance industry in the cannabis space.
Very, very interesting. So that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, things like insurance are tough sometimes for certain companies to get. Are there requirements for being a member of NCRMA?
Yeah, there are, but they're fairly loose. We're continuing to work towards what is a totally conducive environment for the cannabis player, the cannabis business owner, the cannabis operator. Sure. They brought me to the table because my reputation coming in from, what was 30 plus years of automotive components manufacturing was, really having the reputation to take things and run with it. And in taking this and run with it, we've created the NCRMA around, creating an early membership and then answering the needs of that membership. So we're a very needs-based organization. And we're proud of the fact that although we started with somewhat of an insurance focus, we've actually modified our original mission statement, which was to make our members better consumers of insurance, right? Really to just making our members better. Because what we recognized very early on is that risk management is a major part of any business. And cannabis is a very non-traditional business. So what was happening is that risk managers were looking at cannabis with their traditional approach, sure, and it wasn't a very good fit. What we decided to do is make the risk management approach non-traditional, so that it would meet those non-traditional needs that were being brought to the table by the owner-operator. Sure. And in doing that now, we've been able to create a platform that answers, many of the needs of risk management as defined by these owner-operators and other players within cannabis that are outside of those traditional boundaries.
Very, very interesting. And so, I guess, and obviously there's power in numbers. So that's a big part of, I think, how you guys can, why you're starting to grow that way, mm-hmm, right? Risk management. Also, I'm going to guess a lot of information is needed from cannabis business owners, especially because of how unique the situation is.
Well, that was really an instrumental part of an early decision that we made is, again, traditional models are you stand up an association, the first thing you do is you create a dues structure, right?
Sure.
You're gonna belong to my association. I'm going to give you services. You're going to pay me dues for it.
Right.
We almost initially pulled that back, and because it was my analysis that what we didn't want is we didn't want any barriers standing between the voice of the member,
right,
and what we really had to create to be able to make them better or to make them successful from a risk management standpoint. And that turned out to be, at least initially, a very good strategy because it allowed us to acquire upwards of 1,800 or 1,900 members.
Sure.
That have, for the most part, been very responsive and very interactive in helping us define the total offering that they needed from a risk management standpoint.
And I know one thing that the NCRMA does very well, though, is engage its members. You guys are talking constantly about how you can better, how you can help. I know you had a recent, maybe it's not so recent anymore, but you had a report with a few findings recently from your members that kind of helped steer things. Although I think it was prior to coronavirus, was it not?
It was, but it was instrumental because it's what put us on this non-traditional path.
Sure.
We reached out to our members. It was late third quarter of 2019, and we asked a very simple question. This question was based on what they saw as the biggest risk to their business, and we asked them to name the 3 most threatening risks to their businesses. And then we took those responses and we paraded them based on frequency and magnitude of response. And the 3 biggest risks that they identified in this order were, number 1, talent. Finding the right people, putting them in the right places that were necessary to execute their business plan. The second one was believable sources of media. Where are they going to get the information, the believable and objective information that they needed to make decisions to run their business?
Yeah, at that point, yeah. Yep.
And the third one was somewhat financially motivated and had something to do with banking, but it wasn't the traditional cash issue that we hear about.
Right.
It was more of a concern of we're going to need capital to be able to grow our businesses. Banks aren't playing with us. Where do we find fair and equitable sources of capital investment that we use to fuel our growth?
And of course, that final one was, probably the reason or one of the really key things that kind of started our relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So, just to explain to the viewers and listeners what we did is that we built this risk management platform taking a dual approach. I mean, we continue to add capabilities and talent internal to our organization. That most recent addition being Alex Herding, who is the Chief Risk Management Officer of the NCRMA. So Alex brings a wide breadth of industry experience from a safety and risk management standpoint to the educational platform that we're creating. And then the second level of build, but at an equal level, is through our service partnerships. Right. And again, that's how you and I met, is right. We, talking to Wrazel about filling a role as a service partnership that number one, helps our members network in the B2B form that you do business, but more specifically, how do we bring investor money to the table in a fair and equitable fashion? So, yep. We did that, and that whole activity culminated with what we had named as NCRMA 2020.
Yep.
And that was designed to be our first membership meeting that was scheduled at the back end of March in Las Vegas, that we, very proactively postponed.
Yeah, because you guys were out there very early too. I got to commend you.
Well, I mean, we're risk managers, right? And I mean, it was a no-brainer. I mean, there were some economics involved, but frankly, the safety and health of our memberships had to outweigh the excitement of bringing them together and demonstrating this platform. So, we're sitting on that. Things are starting to open up. And at this point, as we promised both the members and the presenters at the time that we postponed, we're still looking to get this back on the stage by the end of 2020.
Very cool. And I certainly hope that's the case. That would be great. And I certainly look forward to when that's going to happen. Have you, I've also noticed you guys have certainly leaned into, you're doing more things like this, you're putting out a little bit kind of more material out there and on your site. Was that a calculated response?
Yeah, the original plan was we were going to demonstrate live. I mean, we had 22 presenters to put on the stage in a couple of days in Vegas as part of our meeting. And again, that was designed to be a live demonstration of this risk management platform that we had created. Mm-hmm. From that, we were going to take the input from our members and decide what to do with it next. And, we didn't have that opportunity, but at the same time, normalizing risk management and normalizing the insurance business really involves creating a best-in-class group of insureds, and then using that best-in-class group of insureds to take to potential capacity in the insurance world, and open up that capacity just for us because of the prominence of capability, risk management, and understanding those risk management practices. And convincing the people in the insurance world that we have that risk mitigated.
Right. And as an association, you can do that more powerfully, more with more strength, because you have a multitude of owners. They're an association. So therefore, you would hope that, major insurers or what have you might be taking a second look or a deeper dive into that particular kind of nuance. I think people understand insurance, right? I think business owners get that. Like, I need to have insurance for, the different parts of my business. I think people are a little fuzzy on risk management, though. Why should a business owner, a cannabis business owner especially, and this sounds silly, because obviously you want to manage your risks, right? But what does that entail? How do you do that? What would you start by doing, besides joining the NCRMA, of course?
Well, that's a great question. And, frankly, we spend a large part of each of our days, really trying to call and hone that messaging, because it means different things to different people.
Yep.
I think the first thing that people need to realize is that insurance never makes you whole. So a lot of people say, and, I come from an automotive components manufacturing background.
Right.
So risk management was very, very important to that, because, bottom line is, if one of my plants shut down a Ford engine plant that was building the engine, for example, for the F-150.
Right.
And, that plant was shut down because of a quality or supply issue coming from one of the plants that I was responsible for.
Yep.
I mean, that bill was $500,000 a day.
Yeah.
Okay. So you take risk management and you take prevention of failure modes very seriously. And that's the best definition that I can give for risk management. It's these risk management and a risk management toolbox are a series of processes, procedures, and techniques that allow you to reduce your failure modes.
Yep.
And when you can reduce your failure modes, then you reduce the things that can potentially fail in your business. And those failures typically result in, depending on the type of failure mode, potentially insurance claims. Insurance is an important part of risk management,
of course,
but it isn't meant to replace risk management.
No.
At the same time, risk management isn't intended to replace the need to have insurance,
of course,
because you can never bulletproof your business well enough to say that I can run it and take all of these risks myself. I can't say you can't, but you shouldn't, right?
No, yeah.
So we're bringing the two together.
Right.
And again, it's important to have insurance coverages, but it's also important to prevent the need for that insurance from really happening. Yeah. And that's why we took the step late last year to what I would say is recommend to our members that one of the best ways that they could protect themselves is to, create and become a part of what is called or known as a captive insurance company.
Okay.
And that's an insurance company that's owned by the policy holding members of the NCRMA. So on this side, you have the control and enforcement that comes from, owning your own insurance company. And on this side, you have a risk management platform that gives you all the tools that you need to make sure that you prevent as many of those risks that you can from happening.
There you go.
And that's really where that equation comes together well, because now the members of the NCRMA, the policy holding members who are also owners of this insurance captive, now they benefit. They benefit also financially from the collective performance of their member companies against claims. And again, that performance comes from enacting all of the tools that we provide them in the risk management platform that the NCRMA has created.
And that really takes the, that's a big benefit to members for sure, is the idea that you can have an association, you're working with community, same people and basically in your space, collectively, essentially standing up an insurance, standing up their insurance, but also there's this risk management platform, which if there's a theme to this show so far, Rocco, I'm going to tell you, it's folks need to take stock of what they have right now, all their processes, all their resources, and really make sure they're protected, they're fine-tuned, and that they're vetted, that people know what the heck they're doing. And I can't think of a better way to knock out a couple of those things than to become a member of a place like the NCRMA.
Exactly. We were the only focused and dedicated risk management association in the cannabis industry going into this COVID pandemic.
Yep.
We're going to be the only one coming out of it.
Yep.
We've all learned a lot. We've learned a lot about needs.
Yep.
And I think what our members or prospective members have really learned is I think the importance of risk management should be very clear to everybody right now. Because
you should think so. You would hope so, certainly.
Yeah, we can't live our lives saying that'll never happen to me.
Nope.
We need to live our lives saying that will happen to me, but when it does, I'm going to be ready for it. And the NCRMA is going to make sure of is that you're ready for whatever potential disaster, whether it be a global disaster like this or an individual disaster that hits your particular business. We're there to make sure that you understand and are ready to be able to, mitigate that in any way, shape, or form through the upfront tools that we would provide to you to be able to properly manage the risks within your business.
And even on a more kind of basic level, I can talk with you, Rocco, about risk management and insurance, right? But if I have a group of people who are all sharing the same sort of thoughts or bouncing things off of each other or working together to get everybody there sooner and quicker and faster, more efficiently, is that not a benefit?
Well, sure it is. That's when I talk about enforcement, that's where it really comes from, because one of the things that Alex is helping us create, Alex Herding, our new Chief Risk Management Officer, is and then bringing in some of the experiences I've had with failure modes and effects analysis from the automotive industry. We're actually going to have a scorecard.
Yeah.
So companies are going to use this scorecard to define how well they're prepared to mitigate each of these risks, no matter where they sit in the vertical.
Sure.
And they're going to take these actions, and the taking of these actions is going to really result in a simulation of their risk preparedness. If they don't score a certain level of number,
Right.
whether it be a higher level or a lower level, depending on how the scale is set.
Right.
But, that's going to come back to the insurance company side, and the insurance company is going to really make a decision whether they're going to be able to continue to play in their yard or not. Because, again, that's one of the ways that you control your risk, is you enforce certain rules among your members to make sure that they take the necessary steps to make sure that the claims history is kept at a reasonable level.
Yeah, in a way you can create sort of a template for how to kind of move forward that can be can be constantly tweaked, evaluated, bettered, perfected because of the intimate nature of the membership.
Yeah,
so,
it's very hard to standardize, but at the same time, the whole industry is in need of a certain level of standardization. And as long as you know how to interpret that standardization, you can use it as a benefit to make your business better. And that's what we're here to help our members do.
Of course. And speaking of that, let's make sure that we know where people can contact you if they are curious about membership. Where can they find you and more information about the NCRMA?
NCRMA can be found at www.ncrma.net. I'd like to highlight 2 activities on Monday of next week. We will be launching the first in a series of courses from our educational platform and curriculum. It's going to be a course that's offered by Alex Herding that deals with cannabis sanitation and hygiene. So it's in direct response to some of the issues that were raised by COVID.
Yep.
I would suggest that everybody if you're interested, attend this webinar. It's going to be a complimentary webinar, and I think it's really going to show you how the NCRMA plans to differentiate itself from a content and quality standpoint as we come out of this pandemic. Additionally, at the same time, maybe a week or 2 off the tails of this first webinar offering, we're going to be re-energizing a membership drive. And at that point in time, many of the individual benefits that we talked about here as part of this on this Wrazel platform are going to be advertised and made apparent to the members of which we're focusing on. So I think it's a great time for us. It's in response to a need. Certainly COVID has emphasized that need to a higher level than any of us could individually. And we feel that although, COVID-19 has been a global strategy, what's important now is that we're embarking on and we're using the tools and collective expertise that we can to take our businesses forward. And the NCRMA has positioned itself to be a big, big part of that.
That's excellent. And two big things that seem to just keep coming up as themes, and one of them we addressed earlier is just take stock of what you have. Basically utilize your resources, partner with associations or become members if it benefits for you from a greater good. But then also, and you just hit on it, Rocco, create educational and informational content, whether it's webinar, interviews, how-tos, like a risk management strategy guide, all sorts of things like that. This is the time for you to be doing those things. And the NCRMA is a great organization to help you kind of steer in that direction, and on top of that, protect yourself. So please go check them out at ncrma.net.
And that's also what we're doing. That's what we're doing, Brad. Not to interrupt, but I mean we're doing everything we can to meet our members' needs, and to take an old adage. We're leading that horse to water, and we're providing the water.
Yep, there you go.
And we're looking forward that and very optimistic that the horse is going to drink. So
there you go. Yeah, sometimes you can get pretty close to having your cake and eating it too, or actually you can do it, right? So, in fact, thank you so much. And in fact, you can also find NCRMA on the services index at Wrazel.com. As noted, they have a lot of things going on. I'm sure Rocco will be joining us again in short order to discuss further, probably in another month or so, I would guess. I look forward to doing that soon. Rocco, thank you so much for your time today. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the relationship that Wrazel's brought to the NCRMA. We're looking forward to expand that from a service partner relationship. And the NCRMA has a podcast called Chronic Risk.
That's right.
And we certainly look forward to having you on that reciprocally as well to talk about your business and how we can do both of our goods to help advance the ball in this very exciting market. So Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Rocco. I do definitely look forward to being on Chronic Risk, and you'll see me on that soon. So be looking out for that. Rocco, thanks again for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon, sir.
Thank you very much. Talk again.
All right. Take care.